going on, people? Welcome back to Curtis Shaw TV, back with another live stream. Happy Monday, people. Hope you're having a great start to this week. Last week was a good week for Arsenal, and a lot is going to happen this week as well. Luton Town away tomorrow night, we're back in action, and then Aston Villa away Saturday night, which will be a very difficult game as well. I thought it was appropriate we start with that Haaland picture. I mean, it's not too often that anything goes wrong against Manchester City, and listen, man, it was, you know, you got to make the most of something going against them. Why not? And Haaland was fuming, going crazy at the referee, had an argument with a Tottenham player, and apparently he could be set to receive a one-match ban as well for his reaction after the game. I have to admit, you know, if I'm being totally honest, it was a disgraceful call from the referee. It was a shocker. I can't lie. He had an absolute nightmare. But it's Man City. Things don't go against them too often, so you got to make the most of it. But I can understand them being so frustrated, man. Grealish one-on-one with the keeper, and he pulls it back for a free kick. But I'm here for it. Shameless settings, people. People saying the robot hit a short circuit. One of his wires was out of place, man. Haaland couldn't finish his dinner yesterday, that's for sure. So, yeah, listen. Great result for Arsenal. Tottenham get a point. Every time Tottenham equalised, I was like, yes. Then I was like, yeah, but Tottenham are celebrating. I can't really be too happy about it. But listen, in the end, a draw was a fantastic result. Man City have drawn 3 games in a row. Pep was not happy. Arsenal 3 points clear at the top. Liverpool obviously got a late winner, not a late equaliser. Late equaliser and a winner. Trent Alexander coming in clutch, you know me if you watch this channel. I am a big fan of Trent. I think you have to more concentrate on what he's good at than what he's not as good at. I think on the ball he's outrageously good, and he came in clutch. That was a Gerrard-esque last-minute winner for Liverpool, and I think we can all see it's a 3-horse race. I think it's Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal going for this title this year, and listen, it's going to be interesting. Laughing said, yeah, Rodri and Grealish both picked up their 5th yellow card. They play Aston Villa midweek, so it's a difficult game for them. Yeah, I did see that Pep refused to go crazy at the ref. He said, I will not do a Mikel Arteta and start hammering the ref, but it is what it is. Big up James, who said, the man, the myth, the legend, Curtis Shaw TV. Big up yourself. Cafu was praising Trent on why he isn't playing for England. Listen, he could probably play for most teams in the world, but in England we have this thing in the media of we concentrate on what a player can't do instead of what he can do. You know, he's unbelievable on the ball. But listen, it was a good weekend for Arsenal. We collected the 3 points, and we're still top. And listen, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we've got to continue to pick up points. There was a lot of positives in that Arsenal game, but obviously 1 or 2 things that we need to sort out, and we'll speak about it in the player ratings. Diss track by Pep, I don't Arteta's. Have you seen the pundits praising Man City, how they reacted? Double standards. When it was Arsenal, I think we got fined for it. A couple of things, because we got a lot to talk about today, people, so I'm just going to skip through 1 or 2 things before we start getting into the bread and butter of the show, which will obviously be looking back on the game. FA Cup draw was made, and it was not favourable. Not favourable at all. Arsenal get Liverpool at home in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Thank you very much. Yeah, cheers for that one. This is why I always say, I think managers, well, let me just say Arteta. Let's not say managers. Arteta is still a young manager. He's won 1 trophy, unless, you count the Charity Shield as well, Community Shield. I always think you should do your best to keep winning trophies, because you never know. There's only 4 trophies you can win in a season. We've never won the Champions League. We haven't won the Prem for 2 decades. So this is a very difficult draw. I mean, somebody just said in the comments, a good draw, you're at home. This isn't a good draw. There's no way this is a good draw. It doesn't matter really if we're at home, because the problem you've got here is Arteta will rotate, right? Because that's what he does in the cup competitions. He will rotate. So you'll see Fabio Vieira, you'll see Ramsdale, You might see El Neni, Jorginho, Cedric, Eddie and Nketiah. If you see a team of that level and Liverpool put a good team out, we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle because I believe a lot of their rotation, depending on what area of the pitch, their rotation in certain areas is better than ours. You know, particularly in attack. They can bring in Jota. They can bring in Gakpo. You know, we're bringing in Eddie. So I am very, very disappointed with this draw. I don't like it at all. It's a difficult game. Now, listen, if we beat them, cool. You've knocked out a big rival to potentially win it. But it's a difficult game that you don't want to have. I think Arteta will have to play a very strong team. Otherwise, we're in trouble. I mean, if he rotates heavy, we're in trouble for this. Latte said if he rotates, we are out. Cedric will be rocking up to this game, says Keros. Eddie catching strays. Listen, it is what it is. You see Eddie's finish at the weekend. We'll talk more about him. We need to take this cup very seriously. No more bigger fish to fry, 100%. And listen, Daniel, I'm not scared of Liverpool. If we put out a strong team, I think we can beat them. If he makes 6-7 changes, forget it. It ain't happening. Our squad's not good enough. And it is the last game before the winter break. That's a great point. So why not go strong? Salah, I think, will be at AFCON by then as well. So it's a good opportunity. Don said, Curtis, I'm happy with the draw. Beat the Giant out of the competition. As long as it goes that way, rather than them knocking us out of the competition. But listen, the FA Cup to me is the reason Mikel Arteta is still the Arsenal manager. I'm convinced if he hadn't won that FA Cup, he would have been sacked at the end of that first full season. So I think he needs to treat this one with a little bit more respect and try and get it won. So listen, Arsenal get FA Cup, get Liverpool in the third round of the FA Cup. So, listen, will be interesting, that's for sure. Definitely not a game. I would have liked a nice, League One team, Championship team at home. But it is what it is. If you want to win these trophies, I suppose you've got to beat quality opposition if you're going to win these competitions. Anyway, before we go through some transfer news and obviously look ahead to the game against Luton tomorrow, we're going to look back on the game on the weekend where we beat Wolves. It seems like it was ages ago now. That's the thing with these games. So much happened yesterday with Liverpool getting the late winner, with Manchester City drawing against Tottenham. And obviously Man United lost Saturday night as well to Newcastle. They were battered 1-0. They were very lucky to lose that game 1-0. But I've always said, people, if you're going to Newcastle, my biggest advice I can give you, turn up with a strong midfield, because I'm telling you now, Bruno Guimaraes and Joe Linton, they will destroy your midfield if your midfield ain't prepared for it. Honestly. Bruno Guimaraes, I know a lot of Arsenal fans can't stand him because they felt he cheated against us. He is a brilliant player. I wish we would have signed him. And Joe Linton, I mean, that's the biggest turnaround since the Jenner guy turned from a guy to a girl, Joe Linton was one of the worst strikers in the Premier League. He's an absolute beast in midfield. You turn up with Mainu and McTominay, it ain't happening, people. You're going to get destroyed. Man United are in trouble. But anyway, Arsenal 2, Wolves 1. This was It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the result, Bruce Jenner was it? I actually forgot the name then. You know what I'm talking about. Bruce Jenner, who I don't know what his name is now, but I'm sure it ain't Bruce. But anyway, you know I'm talking about, people. But we win this game 2-1 and you're thinking, we should have won this game 4-0. We should have won this game 4-0, and Caitlyn Jenner now. Okay, there we go, Bruce. Let me not say too much anyway, but you know what I'm talking about. Joe Linton's definitely turned things around, is what I'm saying. This is a game Arsenal should have won 4 or 5-0. In fact, if I'm Martin Odegaard, I would have been fuming in that dressing room saying, yo, you man just cost me about 2 or 3 assist bonuses because you man can't finish your dinner. It was the equivalent of cooking a great Sunday dinner with all the seasoning, all the sides, and just giving it to them, and they dropped the plate on the floor, and they've ruined it. These guys couldn't finish their dinner. So Arsenal won 2-1. 2-0 up inside 13 minutes. I'm thinking, bang, here we go. How many goals are we winning by? 4, 5, 6? Top of the league. What is the reason that Arsenal consistently go ahead at home, and for some reason they don't kill teams off. Fulham at home, we ended up drawing. Forest at home, 2-1, hanging on. You know, Wolves now, 2-1. It keeps happening in the Premier League. And it will cost you eventually. It will cost you eventually. Now, in the Champions League midweek, we showed it. 6 goals, battered them, handled business. The Premier League, where teams are a little bit more defensive, we seem to struggle to get that third and that fourth and that fifth. And 2-0 is always dangerous. Cunha got a goal back. Let's get into the player ratings, people. You know how this goal goes. Arsenal, 19 shots, 6 on target, which is terrible. That tells you everything. 57% possession. Let's go into the player ratings. I haven't even pre-written these. I have written some notes regarding each player. So I've got a bit of an idea of what I'm going to give each player, but obviously I'll lean on the comments slightly. David Raya, for me, didn't have a lot to do. He'll be very frustrated that he didn't get a clean sheet. But I thought he played pretty well. I'm going to give him a 7 because, and I know some people will think this doesn't count, but it was -1 on Saturday. The guy's standing there, nothing to do. And then he made a couple of good saves. He made some good saves. His handling was good. His kicking was good. His concentration levels were high. So I'm going to give him a 7. I can't give him higher than that. He didn't have to make any worldies of a save. But I'm going to give him more than a 6 because I think what he did properly. The goal was nothing to do with him. You know, it's going to be somebody else who we talk about shortly. I'll give David Raya a 7. And he did. That one in the first half, Zinni made a mistake. Raya saved it. That could have been another goal conceded. So I'm going to give him a 7 and another good performance from him. He's quietly playing his way into form because we're not talking about him. And, you know, goalkeepers who are good, you don't talk about them. And he can concentrate for 90 minutes. He can. Let's just get it out of the way, Zinchenko. Let's get it out of the way. Now, before we just go in and start hammering him, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to criticise him. I just want to put up a small defence of Zinchenko. Zinni's in the team because of what he can do on the ball, not what he can do defensively. I'm not going to compare him to Trent because Trent is absolutely elite on the ball. Zinchenko is not elite on the ball. But we all know sometimes when a situation is occurring, you've almost got to question the manager more than you question the player. Zinchenko, for me, is not a left-back. Because you played left-back at Man City does not mean you can play left-back for Arsenal. Man City are a different kettle of fish. Delph won the title at left-back. He ain't playing left-back for no one else. Right? So Zinni, for me, at left-back is a bit of a liability defensively. What he is he is quality on the ball. Now, he got caught on the ball in the first half, nearly cost us a goal. He gets caught in the second half, and he does cost us a goal. However, I'm going to balance it. He gets a fantastic assist for Martin Odegaard. Great 1-2 with Jesus. Sets him up, and there's the goal. I'm going to give him a 5. I can see a lot of you in the comments, you going for 3s and 4s. You start at a 6. The assist was brilliant. I would have pushed him up to a 7 or an 8. But then he costs us, and so I'm pulling him down to a 5. Without the assist, I would have probably given him a 4. Because I think the mistake is absolutely shambolic. And this is what I'm saying. Midfielders get caught on the ball sometimes, but they'll get away with it because the defence will get them out of the mess. But because he's getting caught on the edge of his own box in defence, it leads to a goal. He's not a defender. He's not a defender. Can he play there? Okay, maybe he can. But he's not a specialist. He's just not. So we're playing him because of what the manager feels he can add on the ball. I also think it doesn't help Martinelli having a left back that won't overlap. So I'm giving him a 5. I'm giving him a 5. It's a great assist. But let me tell you something. The mistake that he makes for the goal is absolutely shambolic. I mean, even if you're not a defender, I've defended him a little bit there. Even if you're not a defender, how can you think on the edge of your own penalty area in the Premier League that you've got time to just have a touch and settle on the ball like that? It's shambolic. It is shambolic. Somebody just nailed it there, Lawrence. His time's up when Timber's back. I think Zinchenko's on the bench. If you get a fully fit Timber, that's the problem. So, yeah, it was poor, but I'm going to give him a 5 just because of the assist. It would have been lower. Defensively, he concerns me. We got Liverpool at Anfield in a few weeks. Last season we played at Anfield. He got megged by Trent, and he was crying on the bench afterwards. You can't be playing him against Mo Salah. Let's go to the opposite fullback. This conversation will be totally different. He is the in-form defender or certainly fullback of Arsenal right now. I really hope that this injury is nothing major. The one positive is that he walked off the pitch. He didn't really seem to be limping. So I'm hoping maybe it was a kick or a precaution rather than a muscular injury. Tomiyasu has been in such good form. I just hope this is not no major injury. He was brilliant again for me. He got on the overlap of Saka. He gets an assist. I'm giving him 8 out of 10. Defensively, solid. Did his job defensively. And then he gets forward, gets the assist. That, for me, is worth an 8 out of 10. I'm just looking here when he actually came off. Tomiyasu came off in the 79th minute. And we conceded in the 86th. So he wasn't even on the pitch. 8 out of 10. Tomiyasu. It's quite simple. The guy is absolutely in great form at the moment. Tomiyasu. He gets an 8. Arteta said precaution post-match. There we go. That'll be brilliant. And listen, I hear you with that. Football said all criticising Zinni. Without him, we play terrible football. Maybe we're not as good without him on the ball, and I do agree with that. He steps into midfield and helps us, but still, defensively, you can't defend that poor mistake. On the ball, yeah, he's a creative spot, but defensively, you can't do that. Let's go to the 2 centre-backs, Gabriel and Saliba. I give them both a 7. I don't really think any of them were particularly different to the other. Thought they were both decent. The goal was nothing to do with them. Saliba gets his first yellow card in 12 months, which is quite unbelievable, really. So I'm going to give them both a 7. I'm going to mark them together. I thought they were very similar in this performance. Yeah, it's crazy that Saliba even got a booking because he never usually does. But I'll give them both a 7. Pretty solid performance from them both. Lawrence says Gabriel was a bit better. Fair enough. I thought Saliba was pretty decent as well, but I'll give them both a 7. Cliffo said, honestly, we need to see a back line of Timber, Gabriel, Saliba, Tomiyasu with Rice and Zinni in midfield. Maybe. Will we ever see Zinchenko in midfield for Arsenal? Let's go into the midfield. I'm going to start with Declan Rice. Copy, paste, take it away. 8 out of 10. Does what he does every single game. He is unbelievable at winning the ball back. He reads the game so well. What I liked about this performance and something that he needs to work on, he got forward a lot and had some shots. I think that one on his right foot, he'll be disappointed he didn't hit the target. And I do think Declan Rice can add more goals to his game. I think he gets enough of the ball to start scoring goals now. But Declan Rice gets an 8 out of 10. Copy and paste business. He just does exactly what it says on the tin, people. He's class. He's absolute class. And no booking again. Never seems to get booked. 90 minutes again. Just, we got to keep this guy fit is all I'm saying. Let's go to Trossard, because Trossard for me was, I'm going to be honest, I think it was a bit of a disappointment in his performance. I'm a big fan of Trossard, and this is the second game that he's played left attacking midfield, and again, for me, he was underwhelming. I don't think he was bad. I saw some stats that he had one of the highest interceptions on the pitch. You know, he was doing the Havertz, I'm working hard off the ball performance. One-on-one with a goalkeeper, takes too long, hits it straight at the keeper. Out of sympathy, I'm giving him a 6 because, okay, not his natural position. Roscoe says 7, not a chance for me. I can't give him higher than a 6. I could have quite easily given him a 5, to be honest. Sympathy, I'm giving him a 6. 2 games in a row in that midfield position, and he hasn't impressed me. Hasn't impressed me that much, to be honest. I mean, Olafemi said he was really good, 7. Honestly, I didn't see it. I did not see it. I thought it was average. I really probably should have given him a 5, but because he put in a real shift in a position that he doesn't usually play, it's a lot more physical in there. Out of sympathy, I'll give him a 6. I don't think he played that well. I really don't. I thought the other two midfielders were far better than him. Hype said it's about time some calls went against Man City. Listen, we all agree on that. And big up Tom, who's become a new member. We got 33 new members in the chat on Saturday from people gifting memberships. So really appreciate that. I think I gave 5 out and then we got 28 from the rest of the community. So big thank you to everyone who gifted memberships to the community. Martin Odegaard. He's arrived. He's back. Trick-or-treating's over. I haven't been able to see him for the past month, 6 weeks. Hasn't been doing enough. Been doing enough. For me, he was the best player on the pitch. It's as simple as that. This was the Odegaard of last season. This was the creative spark. This was prime Martin Odegaard. Prime. He should have come off that pitch with at least 2 assists. He plays the through ball to Trossard. Trossard takes too long, hits it straight at the keeper. He plays an unbelievable through ball to Eddie as well. But Eddie does what Eddie does, hits the post. He plays a brilliant ball in the first half to Jesus outside of the foot. Jesus should roll it to Declan Rice for a goal. He shoots straight at the keeper. He scored a goal. 9 out of 10. Man of the match. And listen, this was prime, absolute prime Martin Odegaard. And listen, this is what we need. Somebody just said in the comments there, he needs to do it against some of the bigger opposition. I mean, fair enough. I think he has had games against big teams. He scored against Man United. So I think he can play well. But I just think he was in a little bad spell of form. He set the standard so high last year. It can happen sometimes. He also, had this hip injury. It can happen. It can happen. So I'm going to be patient with him. I think he's a quality player. And I'm giving him a 9. Gang Green said, I didn't think Odegaard was that good. I'd rate him 7. See, it's interesting, isn't it, how people see the game. To me, he scores a brilliant goal. He plays a brilliant ball to Jesus that should lead to a goal to Rice. He plays a great through ball to Trossard, puts him one-on-one. He plays a brilliant ball to Eddie, puts him one-on-one. For me, that's more than a 7. I think you have to mark that. That's a goal and it should be 2 assists. For a creative player, that's an unbelievable performance. Jay Dizzle said, I think the Norway thing was a big issue mentally for him. But for me, man of the match, I thought he was brilliant. I give him 9. I thought that was peak Odegaard. There was no way I was rating him less than a 9, to be honest. And he works on top of that. Let's go to the front three. We'll start with Bukayo. I thought it was another good performance from Saka. Got us going with the goal. It was a lovely little turn. Chops onto his right foot. Drills it in the bottom corner. I thought it was a really good performance from Saka. I'll give him 8 out of 10. Again, Saka keeps producing numbers. Goal, assist, goal, assist, goal, assist. Every game, really, you're seeing Saka put a number on the board. And if you're not at your very best, that's what you've got to do as an attacking player. So for me, listen, I think he's brilliant. I really do, Saka. And 8 out of 10. Much better performance from him. And again, I agree with you, Rowan. I think with Tomiyasu, you see a better Saka than with Ben White, if I'm being totally honest. So, yeah, great performance from Saka. 8 out of 10. Let's go to Martinelli on the other side. I thought Martinelli played really well. I'll probably give him 7.5, just because I think Saka was slightly better. And Saka got a goal as well. Do I give Martinelli a 7? The only reason I probably... I thought he had Semedo on toast. And Semedo's not a bad right back. And he was destroying him at times. And listen, he helped Zinchenko out a few times as well. Maybe the end product. I'm kind of thinking back on the game now. I'm going to give him a 7.5. I'll give him a 7.5. I think he's got a more difficult job on that side than Saka. I really do. Because at least Saka has that luxury of my fullback is going to run past me and pull a defender away. Martinelli don't have no overlap. He ain't got one with Zinchenko. So I'm going to give him 7.5. Maybe... No, I'll stick with a 7.5. I'll stick with it. I'm kind of having flashbacks of the game. I remember he did frustrate me a couple of times. But I'm going to give him 7.5. Why not? See, I think the thing with Martinelli and Saka, what's different? Saka can have an average game and score. Martinelli doesn't seem to have an average game and score. It's like Martinelli needs to play well to score. And I think that's the difference between Martinelli and Saka. That's what I think Saka is really good at. But a good performance from him. But we want more end product. I want more goals from him. Gabriel Jesus. Gabriel Jesus, for me, is a conundrum. He's like a jigsaw puzzle, this guy. I really can't work out what I truly think of Gabriel Jesus. I know one thing's for sure. I really, really like Gabriel Jesus as a player. He's got that personality, he links up play, he cares about the club. He's a fantastic football player. His understanding of the game is second to none on the work rate. But just doesn't have that killer edge for me. It's like trying to slice your pizza with a spoon. Eventually, you'll probably slice it, but you're going to take a while. There's a blunt edge there, you know, it ain't going to be the shape. It just, you know, it ain't that cutting edge, people. That sharp knife, boof. Haaland and Osimhen, they just slice through you, people. Bang. This guy, it is like trying to cut your pizza with a spoon. You know, eventually, yeah, he probably will score, but it might take him attempt after attempt after attempt. I just don't know where I'm at with him. I find it hard to even... Yeah, jagged edge. Feels like I just walked right out of heaven. Let me not start singing, but that's a big tune, by the way. Big tune. Should have played the ball to Declan Rice. That's the assist. That's a goal. He misses the one at the back post. Okay, he's offside and it flicks off Gabriel Magalhaes' head, so I'll let him off. I don't know. I'll give him a 6. I'll give him a 6, people. I don't know. He played quite well. Like, he played a great little ball into Tomiyasu. Maybe I'm doing him dirty. He got 2 pre-assists, didn't he? Got 2 pre-assists. I've got to give him a little bit more than that. I do. I forgot about the pre-assists. I'll give him a 7. We won the game. We won the game. He got 2 great pre-assists. We're top of the league. I forgot about the second one as well. So I'll give him a 7, but I just need more goals from him. I need more goals. Adam said, track 10, Knives and Spoons featuring Gabby Jesus, Eddie Diss. Jagged edge, people. You're cutting the pizza with a spoon. You're going to get there. But, yo, I need goals, man. I need goals. 6 was harsh. I'll give him a 7. It's crazy. Football's changed. Football's changed. Maybe I got to move with the times, you know. Strikers, for me, you got to hit the back of the net. You got to hit the back of the net. But, you know, nowadays it's XG and pre-assists and the distance that you ran and expected goals and all that. I know, people. I know. Back in the day, you know, you never looked at R9 Ronaldo and Henry, and even in the Prem, you weren't looking at Robbie Fowler and Hasselbank and Henry and going, yeah, mate, he hasn't scored for the last month, but hey, that pre-assist, whoo. I never heard anybody talk about pre-assist 15 years ago. I never heard Thierry Henry talk about pre-assist. Did you score? Yeah. Did you get an assist? Yeah. Did you get... After that, it was irrelevant. Oh, work hard. Yeah, not interested. Everyone works hard. Oh, I got a pre-assist. What's that? Oh, I passed the ball to the guy who then passed the ball to the guy who set up the goal. Football's changed. Maybe I'm just getting old, people. Heat maps and all that. They're saying I deserve a timeout for real. It's crazy. It's crazy. But the game's changed, people. The game's changed. Maybe I've got to move with the times. I'm praising strikers for pre-assists. Let's go to the bench. I got to be honest here. There's only one substitute that I want to talk about. So we'll skip the others. Ben White, Kivior, Jorginho, Havertz. Thanks for coming on. Didn't really notice any of you. You didn't do anything wrong. Just, we'll see you on. I'll see you tomorrow at the Luton game. But I want to talk about Edward. Got to talk about Edward. Just for a second. Because Missing a chance is one thing. The missed chance is bad enough, by the way. Like, his one-on-one was even easier than the one that Trossard missed. Trossard should have scored as well. But a missed chance. I see a lot of players miss chances. It happens, right? It happens. It's not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. We all miss chances. But the thing that does me in with this guy, Edward, and what I really can't believe, he then proceeds to go on social media. You're a striker, you've come on, you've missed a sitter. I'd be keeping my head down. I really wouldn't be saying too much after that game. But not this guy, Eddie. Eddie decides to go on Instagram and put a picture up. And I want to share the picture with you people. Because we're in a courtroom here right now and I need to share the evidence. Let's go full screen. So Eddie does this. Eddie does this. He puts up a picture of him missing a one-on-one with the goalkeeper. I need to sip my drink. There will be a moment of silence for the next 5 seconds or so. So you missed a one-on-one. You're a striker. You're paid $100,000 a week. £100,000 per week. Every Friday in your account. 100 bags. How long would it... Like, it might take us 2-3 years to earn that. 100 grand. He gets 100 bags a week. And he goes in the dressing room and he puts up a picture of him missing the chance. Now, I might be getting old. I might just be out of touch with the game, people. Maybe I need to watch a different sport. Maybe we'll turn this into a cricket channel tomorrow and we'll talk about cricket. But as far as I'm concerned, when you're a striker, you're one-on-one with a goalkeeper and you put it wide, I'm not talking about it. I'm not putting no picture up. I'm not doing interviews. I'm getting on the training ground and I need to get to the next game to put this missed chance out of my mind. But not Edward. Not Edward. Eddie goes in the changing room, gets his iPhone out and uploads a picture of him missing the chance. Have you ever seen shamelessness like this in your life? He might as well come on here and host this show. I thought I was shameless. This guy's shameless level is on a new level. Seriously, man, I might have to do NBA. I've been watching a lot of NBA lately. You know, LeBron's cooking. Denver Nuggets doing their thing. Boston Celtics running wild. We may have to turn this to an NBA channel because my striker's missing chances and putting up pictures of it. He's happy. He's sharing to the world. Look at my picture of my missed chance. He's trolling us. Pre-missed photo. Yeah, maybe the picture is for Tinder. Maybe he's trying to mac gal on Insta. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, but Ed, I can't cope with it. Get him out of my football club. End it. Please. And I've watched bad strikers. I watched Nicholas Bentner. I watched Shamak with the greasy hair. I watched Lucas Perez, the Spanish B-Tech Vardy. I've watched Joel Campbell. I'll take Danny Welbeck back at this point. I'll take Welbs. I don't need this. We're trying to win titles. I've seen Sanogo, the French postman. But I've never seen strikers put pictures up when they miss one-on-ones. I need some space from this guy. I need a little room from him. We need some space. So Eddie, for me, I'm sorry. He gets a 1 out of 10 for me. He gets a 1. He gets a 1. People say it's harsh, but he gets a 1. Big up Akeem. You know, bro. Come on, man. Man's putting up pictures of missed chances, man. What the hell is going on? I know I'm getting older and football might have changed. I should just lock the stream off. I should just lock this off now and see you all tomorrow for the watcher. He's putting up a picture. End the stream, Dave, man. Big up my brother Maurice as well. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly podcast. Make sure you go and follow him on socials. One of the best streams and podcasts out of Nottingham, man. Big up. I need to come on there soon as well. Brother, I take Welbeck back at this point. He's trolling. And I always say, you know, you can't knock the hustle. Trust me, don't hate the, you know what I mean? You can't knock the hustle. The man's earning 100 bags a week to miss chances. He's wearing Thierry's number. He's wearing Thierry. I told you, they should have retired the number 14 at this football club. Nobody should have wore 14 after Thierry. It hit the peak. Like, that's like the top of Mount Everest. It's only going to go downhill from Thierry Henry. They should have locked off the number 14 at Arsenal. No one else needs to wear that. It's reached the pinnacle of football. Walcott, I was even like, yo, Theo, but at least Theo Walcott was banging goals in. But Eddie wearing 14 will never sit right with me. I got to be real, people. You know, I got to be real. You've taken it to a new low. But let me move on before they say, you've got an agenda against him. He came through the youth team. There could be light at the end of the tunnel, though, people. There could be light at the end of the tunnel. And I've got to admit, I smiled slightly when I saw this story. I hope there's some truth in it somewhere. I really hope there's some truth in it. And yeah, I probably did disrespect naming man like Joel Campbell and Theo Walcott because they did actually do a little bit at Arsenal. I can't lie. You know, Theo Walcott scored 100 goals for Arsenal. But this could be the shining light at the end of the tunnel. Just please tell me there's truth in this. Arsenal are willing to listen to offers for Eddie Nketiah in January as they step up the search for an elite striker. Again, they're talking about Osimhen, but we'll deal with that when we come to it. Nketiah out, Osimhen in. I mean, listen. Just please. Palace, West Ham, Bournemouth. Let me look at the Premier League, the bottom half of the table. I'm going to be real. Brentford, Wolves, Fulham, Luton, Forest, Everton. Surely one of you, man, need a steady England international. We got to dress it up, just in case anyone's watching. You know, he's only 24. He came through the system. He's an England international. If I was you, Everton, I'd take him. Calvert-Lewin's always injured. It makes sense. Just get him. I actually think there's a little bit of potential there. And if not, you know, let's get him to Lincoln City, Peterborough United, maybe Barnsley. It's funny, Latte always comes on the member streams and he's always like, this guy's a championship player. I mean, surely somebody, Bristol Rovers on loan until the end of the season. Just get him out the door, please. Just sell him. Just sell him. But, you know, it's probably a made-up story and it ain't going anywhere. Curtis, bro, you should sing praises for Eddie. I'm trying to dress it up, you know. We're trying to sell him. It's like trying to sell a car with a dodgy engine, you know. You just got to polish it a little bit, you know, put a nice air freshener in there, get it cleaned at the car wash. Say, listen, man, it's a great runner. Nothing wrong with it. Deep down, you know the engines are going to fall off on the hard shoulder of the motorway. You know, you got to do what you got to do. Oh, but he runs around a lot. He's got great work rate. And he's got a good celebration and he's got a song, your defence. Your defence ain't in no trouble. Your defence is safe as houses when this guy's in the room. Problem, you got 100 bags a week. Who's going to pay it to him? Who's going to take it? It's too expensive for a lot of them clubs at the bottom. It's a Cat D. It's a Cat D car, people. We just got to make it, you know, look good and sell it. Just get him out, please. I've had enough. Anyway, let me stop before I say something that could get me in trouble. I've probably said too much already, people. Big up Simon, who said, whatever Martinelli lacks in comparison to Saka, he makes up, tracking back to help the defence. Might be the hardest worker in the team. Listen, he's in that Brazil squad for a reason, and he's starting, so they can see the talent. Lawrence said, so obvious some girls been airing him. Yeah, Eddie's probably been in some gal's DMs, right? And she's thinking, who the hell's this guy, man? Maybe he ain't got the Arsenal picture up. So he said, listen, I'm going to show them what time it is. I'm going to put up a picture of me hitting the ball in the Arsenal kit, full stadium, and then see what she says. Little does she know what happens after he kicks that ball. But yeah, he's probably, listen, don't hate the player, hate the game, people. I respect it. I'll never knock the hustle. Young brother getting 100 bags a week, but you're playing for our club, you better fix up. Is Eddie your long-lost brother? He is so shameless. Yeah, nah, no chance. There's no chance. We don't drop our dinner on the floor, I'm telling you. Big up yourself, though. Why always me? And Alfred said, are we overrating Haaland? He may Be 25 plus goal season did he have in Germany? I saw him miss sitters yesterday v Spurs. Starting to think that Premier League goals, he probably has 200 chances created to score. I think it's difficult to say Haaland's overrated. He's a goal machine. I think what you're seeing is no Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne is like your mum picking up the baby and feeding you the milk bottle. Like, you're being fed. You're hungry, you're going to get fed. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't have De Bruyne now. Now, the thing is, he is still getting chances. Haaland, let me just tell you Haaland's record this season. 14 Premier League games, 14 goals, 4 assists. Champions League, 5 games, 5 goals. And we're saying he's disappointing. I mean, we've really got to look at the level. He scored a goal in every single game that he's played in terms of his average. I mean, if that's him not playing well, I don't think we can say he's overrated. He's a monster. I found it quite funny yesterday. You know, he was having head loss. He had a bad game, but he'll score 30 plus league goals this year. So it's difficult to say he's overrated. I know what you're saying. In Germany, he didn't have as many chances created, so he never hit 30 league goals in Germany, but he got injured a lot at Dortmund. No more Arsenal press pass for you, Big C. Well, you know me, I shoot from the hip, people. I shoot from the hip, so yeah. If anyone from Arsenal's watching this stream today, just don't worry about it. Pretend you never saw it. Anyway, let's move on. Interesting thing is, Arteta is doing his press conference now for tomorrow's game. So I should have probably waited, but I may do another show tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'm quickly going to give you some quick waffle from what Arteta said after the game against Wolves. I don't think it was a particularly long press conference. He said, on the nervous ending to the match, I can only praise the players, the way they played, competed, they were excellent. We played a really good side, let's skip it. On what he said between him and Rice, he said, I was praising him for the way he played, so happy there was nothing to worry about. On Trossard playing a different position, that's the beauty of having him. He can play as a 9, an attacking midfielder or a winger. He's so intelligent. On Tomiyasu's reason for coming off, he said, I don't know. He felt something. I don't know if it was fatigue. We decided to change him. We didn't want to take any risks. Let's assess. So he did say he felt something. So that doesn't sound great. On Odegaard's contribution to the team, he said, I thought he had 2 very, very good games. He's really consistent. He gives a lot, especially against teams like that. On Zinchenko's performance, he said, you have to love him how he is. Every player as well. He has strengths and weaknesses, but Alex has many more strengths. This has happened. It can happen to any player. We have to learn. On Martinelli's hard work, to summarise it, you have to see today's match, yesterday's training session. He did exactly the same, and I put a video of it because it's incredible. Obviously, he works his socks off, and he loves that. He loves players that work hard. And Martinelli is a hard worker. And why Martinelli hasn't managed more goal involvements. He said he's been unlucky. Today he had 2 big chances to score. The contribution he has on the team is immense. On Tomiyasu's progression, in an attacking sense, the first thing he offers defensively is tremendously reliable. Attacking, he has certain things he can develop that can open up spaces for him. What improvements have been made this season? Consistency. When you play every 3 days, it's tough. On the change in the build-up play, he says it depends on the opposition. On the frustration from our defenders conceding at a corner, you can see how they celebrated after seeing 0 with Gabby at the end on Wednesday, so you can imagine they are not happy. Let's skip it. It's pretty boring. What are Nketiah's strengths? Well, he runs around a lot. Anyway, let's skip through that. Let's have a look at the transfer news and who we're being linked with, and we'll go into a little bit more detail and I'll get your thoughts and opinions. So team news and tickets confirmed over the weekend that the midfielder that we are looking at in terms of January is João Palhinha from Fulham. Now, this is an interesting one, and I thought we'd have a little discussion about him, and I want to get your thoughts and opinions over whether he's somebody that you would consider and whether I think it's likely to happen. Now, first of all, João Palhinha is a very good defensive midfielder in the Premier League. Let me make one thing clear. He's a very good player. He nearly joined Bayern Munich on deadline day. The deal collapsed as Fulham couldn't find a replacement, and the deal didn't happen. However, I do have some. I do have some concerns about this deal. Now, purely from a footballing point of view, I would take him all day long because he's a great option to play next to Declan Rice or instead of Declan Rice. If Rice gets injured at the moment, you're playing Jorginho, who is not an adequate replacement if you're trying to win a league and a Champions League. The two problems you've got, first of all, last season, 14 yellow cards in the Premier League. That's way too many. Now, maybe he's at Fulham. They're chasing after the ball a lot of the game. So maybe he has to put in a lot more challenges. If he was playing for Arsenal, maybe that wouldn't happen. In his last season at Sporting, he got 6 yellow cards. So maybe in a team that's better on the ball, his discipline would be better. But the biggest problem, and some of you are putting it in the comments, he turns 29 years of age in July of next year. First of all, Bayern Munich's offer for him at the end of the summer window was 65 million euros, which is around 56.5 million pounds. Now that was only 6 months ago. He's then proceeded to sign a new 4-year contract at Fulham. So my question is, how much would he cost? Now he signed a new 4-year deal. Can you get him for the same price Bayern Munich were willing to sell him for? Or would he cost even more now he's got even longer on his contract? I think he would cost exactly the same or maybe even a bit more. If we work with that 56.5 million, would you pay 56.5 million pounds for Palhinha, who turns 29 in July? I personally don't think Arsenal would sign him. I just don't. You look at the players that they've signed, I think they're looking at a group of players that can grow together and improve together. Now, he has signed some older players. You look at Trossard, who's 28, 29. You look at Jorginho, who's 31. But those players have sort of come at a bargain price. 27 million for Trossard, 12 million for Jorginho. The investment is not that big. I just don't think Arsenal would spend 56 million on a guy that turns 29 in the summer. I don't see it. I think he's a good player. I personally think there are better options than him because you do need to think long term as well. I like him. The difficult thing about this is I would take him as the player, all day long. I think he's a very, very good DM in the Premier League. You look at his numbers, he was right up there last season with Caicedo's and Rice and Rodri's interceptions, passes completed, but I just don't see it happening. I think if Arsenal were going to spend 50, 60 million in January on a midfielder, I think they would want somebody a little bit closer to 25. But I want to know your thoughts and opinions. Ander said, just saying men's physical peak is between the age of 25 and 30, so the age really isn't a concern. And I agree with you. I think a lot of top midfielders peak at the age of 28, 29, 30, because your understanding of the game just becomes so much better as a midfielder. But I just think with Arsenal, every player they've invested big money in, it seems to be somebody that they think the value of that player can go up in the last few years. And I think with Palhinha, that value is probably going to get lower. I would much rather go and get maybe, like people talking about Fofana in the comments, 30, 40 million pounds, 22, 23 years of age. Lee said the only signing should be Ivan Toney. Again, I think it's very similar with Ivan Toney. I think that's part of the reason we won't sign him. Because, 27, 28, he'll cost 70, 80 million. He's had a ban. I've got to the point now, I just don't think we're going to sign. I don't think we're going to get Ivan Toney, if I'm being totally honest. I think he ends up elsewhere. Zubimendi says, Fizzy, I think the problem with him, he doesn't want to leave until the summer. Arsenal are probably looking in January. Khalid said, honestly, Big C, it's like the Caicedo-Rice situation. We all wanted Caicedo, but Rice was the right decision. And listen, I hold my hands up. That was a great decision. Jamal said, I would take Palhinha all day. I think what you've got to look at from Arsenal, if we're just looking at it as a fan, if we ended up signing him, I'd be looking at it going, you can get 3 top quality years out of him. He's 28. You keep him till he's 31, 32. He'll still be a quality midfielder. If you get him for 50 million, it's still not that expensive really in the modern game, is it? People are spending 70, 80 million on potential. But my thought process is always, can you get somebody better for that price? If we get Palhinha, I will not be disappointed with that signing. I'm going to keep it 100. I rate him. I think he's a quality player. Bayern Munich wanted him. Other big clubs have looked at him, but I just don't think we're going to go for him at that price. I think we'll look for a younger player. Kefren Turan plays like Partey, says Football 14. He's been linked with Liverpool, I think. Ayadoji said he's got no pace, Big C. I think he reads the game very well, though. Daniel, thank you for the super chat. He said, how much can Stan spend personally to dodge FFP? I mean, I don't know the exact figures, but because he doesn't particularly put his hand in his own pocket, I would imagine he can spend a decent amount. I mean, they were saying potentially he could sign Tony and Douglas Luiz out of his own pocket. So I think that would cost you over 120 million. Gunnar Roller said, take Palhinha all day over Douglas Luiz. It's pricey, but this is arguably the best option available in January. And we do always have to remember, January is a difficult window. I look at a Palhinha, as much as his age doesn't, tick the box. If Arsenal were to get Palhinha and potentially a quality striker, I think we can win the title. I think that's how big those couple of signings would be. Granit Xhaka said, send our 29 for this 29, same price tag. Wow, 29, can you do something for me? L said, rip that 14 shirt off Nketiah. It's a disgrace. I feel physically sick, as Arteta said. Big up L. Listen, I think it'd be a good signing. I personally don't think it's going to happen. Kamangu said he's better than Douglas Luiz. And DJ Breeze said the problem is who's going to pay the wage. I don't know if you're talking about Eddie there or you're talking about Palhinha. Palhinha's wage... I'm not sure what his wage actually is. Let's have a look. I'm sure his wage isn't that high. I don't know if you're referring back to the conversation we were having about Eddie and Nketiah on 100 grand. A lot of those lower clubs in the Prem won't want to pay that. I mean, Palhinha's only on 80 grand a week for Arsenal. That's pocket change. That's light work. So it's doable, but are they going to pay it? Me personally, I think it would be a good sign-in, but I just don't see Arsenal paying that kind of money for him. But we'll see. We'll see. It's good that we're being linked with midfielders because it's definitely a position that we need to address. And that's a player that I would like to see come in. But, Fofana is one that I like. Barella's one that I like. But January, we know, can be difficult. Let's briefly look ahead to tomorrow's game, people. 2,000 of you in the chat. Like the video. Can we get 1,000 likes? Subscribe to the channel. Let's keep building. And thank you to everyone who gifted memberships over the weekend. We play Luton Town tomorrow night. And I saw this record, which I thought was unbelievable. Now, don't get me wrong. This is from the past, right? We haven't played them in the league since 1991, which is obviously a long, long time ago. Kevin Campbell days. But I saw this record. Luton Town at home against Arsenal. So the last few games, so we lost, then we drew, then we lost again. So that's 3 games. There's another draw there. That's 4. We drew again. That's 5. Drew again. That's 6. Lost. That's 7. Drew 8. Drew again. 9. We lost again. That's 10. And then we won the game. So in our last 10 league games away at Kenilworth Road, we haven't won once, which is absolutely unbelievable. Now, don't get me wrong. You're talking about the early 90s, late 80s. Most of us were probably babies. Some of us not even born. But I'm just saying, it's interesting. Somebody sent me a stat. Arsenal haven't won in their last 10 league games at Kenilworth Road. I was like, whatever, bro. We've probably been rolling them over for years. 10 games, we haven't beaten them there. So psychologically, listen, I don't expect it to affect any of these players. Some of these guys weren't even born, to be honest, when these, stats were occurring. But psychologically, it's just interesting that we're going to a ground that we have a horrendous record at. Now, Arsenal top of the league. 2 points clear of Liverpool. 3 points clear of Manchester City. Manchester City play Aston Villa midweek. Rodri is suspended for this game. 5 yellow cards. Jack Grealish is suspended against his old club as well. And it is away at Villa Park. I think that will be a tough game for them. Liverpool go to Sheffield United. I think they'll win that. Man United play Chelsea as well. Another big game. but we have to focus on ourselves. 4 wins out of our last 5. We now have, we still have the best defence in the league. In terms of goals scored, there are quite a few teams that have scored more than us. Brighton, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Man City and Liverpool have all outscored us. You then take a look at Luton. They're obviously struggling. 14 games, 2 wins, 3 draws and 9 defeats. They're the second lowest scorers in the league. 13 goals scored, 26 goals conceded. But they have put up a couple of decent fights at home this season. Obviously, they got that brilliant draw against Liverpool, which was an unbelievable result. Their last couple of home games, they beat Crystal Palace at home and they drew with Liverpool at home. And they only lost 1-0 at home to Tottenham as well. So they have got a bit of fight. Tuesday night at Kenilworth Road, where fans are walking through the back gardens and stuff like that. It's difficult, So Arsenal are going to have to deal with the circumstances and that atmosphere. If we turn up and we play properly, I think we win the game. But these are the games you cannot let your concentration slip, because if you do, you will look stupid and you will drop points. Arsenal have to go there, deal with that atmosphere for the first 15, 20 minutes, then take control of the game and win the game, and that's all we need to do. We got Villa at the weekend, but we do need to focus on this game. Don said, Curtis, I'm going to that game, can't wait. I think it'll be a fantastic atmosphere, I really do. Kenilworth Road, I've played there before. And it is a lively atmosphere, and they will be fired up for it against Arsenal. It's a big game, and we just got to handle business, and it won't be easy. These are games where, sometimes I've questioned Martin Odegaard or Fabio or, those players that at times can be a little bit lightweight. When somebody who's come from the Championship will get stuck into Odegaard and put tough challenges on him, he's got to stand up and be countered. So Arsenal are going to have to be smart. In terms of the team lineup, this will be an interesting one, because he's saying, Arteta said in the press conference there that Tomiyasu felt something during the game, which is why they took him off. Now, for me, if you felt some sort of twinge on Saturday, I think it's very unlikely that you're going to play on Tuesday. I don't think the manager will risk it. And I think you will probably see Ben White come back into the team. I thought Trossard, as well could be rested or dropped, however you want to dress it up for this game as well. So just going through the potential Arsenal team, I think David Raya will be in goal. I think Gabriel and Saliba, the brick wall, it picks themselves. I personally think Ben White will play at right back. I don't think they'll risk Tomiyasu. I think Zinni will play. He needs to play a lot better than he did the other day. I think Declan Rice will play. I personally think Havertz will come back into the team. I think for that physical presence, and I don't think Trossard played that well. And then I think you'll see the number one front three, really, which is Martinelli, Saka, and Gabriel Jesus. Personally, that's the team I think we will see for the game. I don't think he'll risk Tomiyasu. He's had injury problems before, muscular injury problems. I think Havertz comes back in for the physicality. And obviously, we got a very difficult game at Aston Villa on Saturday, so I don't think we're going to see the same team. Do you guys agree with that team? That's what I think we'll see. Big C, Eddie is a headache, said Andre, of course. Havertz is 1 yellow card away from missing Villa. That's a great point, but yeah, maybe he'll play him against Villa, and then he gets suspended for the game after, which I think could be Brighton. I bet Eddie starts. I hope not. People saying Nketiah will get a start. Where would you play him? Would you play him left back? Would you play him left centre back? Geez, you're rapid with that create format. Quick ting, bro. Quick ting. James said, I agree with you on this lineup. I honestly think Havertz will boss this game. I think he'll play. I just think Trossard, he played one game, then he was dropped. Played the next game. I think he'll come out again. I think Havertz will play. And I think that's the team that we will see. Some people saying play Nketiah at left back. Possibly, he could do that because Zinni defensively didn't exactly cover himself in glory. Jay said, Big C, what about Cunha at Wolves? I thought he was Wolves' best player the other day. The problem is they've only just signed him, and he won't be cheap, but I like him. I think he's a good player. That's a good point, Gunnar Menu. He said Jesus is unlikely to start 4 games in a row from injury. Remember, he started via Argentina. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, he played against Brentford, played against Lens, played against Wolves, Villa at the weekend. But if you start... The only thing I would do, if Jesus was rested, you go Trossard up front. That's what I would do. Because I think Trossard played well in the false 9. Don't start playing Eddie up top. If you're going to change him and give him a rest, play Trossard up front. I think he can play there. Scored a couple goals when he played there. So that's what I think the team will be. But that's a good point. Jesus, he may not want to play him 4 games in a row with Villa on the weekend. And I would imagine you want Jesus starting at Villa Park. 6,000,007. When does the Saudi League break? Maybe try Milinkovic-Savic on loan. Yeah, I'm not sure when it finishes, but it seems a lot of people are looking to take players from Saudi on loan. When does the Saudi Pro League finish? Let's have a look. When does it finish? 18 clubs, August to May. I'm not actually sure. I think it says they have a break. Maybe they have a break over winter. So I'm not actually sure. It doesn't say that. It says August till May. But yeah, maybe we could get some players from Saudi on loan. I would take Milinkovic-Savic. Young Gunner said, Elise or Neto for you. I'll say it again. Leon Bailey. 1 or 3 quality players in January. I think we can win the league. I just don't think we're going to sign more than 1 player in January. I just don't. Elise or Neto? I've always probably been a bigger fan of Neto than Elise, but I do like Elise. And I do have concerns about Neto's ability to stay fit. He's injured a lot, and I'm just sick of having injury-prone players. So I would probably take Elise over Neto, because Neto gets injured too much for me, and I don't care how good you are. If you're injury-prone, you're not useful enough. You know, that's the biggest problem. So I like them both. I think they're both quality players, to be honest. Neto excites me when I watch him play. I've always felt like he was just kind of really suits Arsenal. But I don't see us buying any of them in January, to be honest. I think we'll just sign a midfielder and that'll probably be it. Final story of the day before we round up, people, and that is regarding Thomas Partey. Remember him? I think he does still play for us. Story going around today, ESPN. Arsenal are ready to sell Thomas Partey in January to help fund other transfers. Now, the story doesn't surprise me at all. I'm going to give you my opinion on this quickly. I just don't see where he goes. I don't see where he goes. When I was on tour in America, spoke to people at Arsenal. The rumour was Arsenal were willing to sell him to Saudi Arabia in the summer. And Partey rejected the move. He said, I want to stay in a major league in Europe. Now, he's injured, and then he's going to AFCON. If Arsenal are looking to recoup money to sell him, Juventus were willing to pay 15 million euros for him in the summer. About 12, 13 million pounds. Well, that's not going to change things, is it? If you get 12 million all of a sudden, oh, we can break the bank. No, that's 12, 13 million quid. So I don't see who buys him. For good money as well. 200 grand a week. Injury prone. I don't see it happening. I think you're better off keeping him and trying to get 15 games out of him at the back end of the season and get rid of him in the summer when you've got time to plan for a long-term replacement. If you're giving me 15 million euros, I'd rather keep him and try and get, if you can get a February, March, April, May out of him, that might get you over the finish line, you know, you never know. Partey living his life in the America, dressing up like Dipset. Yeah, people said he's been dressing up like 50. Amo said sell him on eBay. Buy it now, next day delivery. Genuinely for me, unless you're selling him for big money, I'm keeping him until the summer. I don't think there's no point selling him in January for peanuts to Juventus. I would keep him. Wait till he comes back from AFCON. Hope that he can stay fit February, March, April, May. And that could be the difference. That could get you over the finish line. You know, that's what I would do. I don't think there's any point selling him for cheap. Nearly 30, massive wages, injury prone. Who's going to pay big money for him? No one. And he doesn't want to go to Saudi unless he changes his mind and said, I'll just go Saudi and cash out. But he didn't want to do it 6 months ago. So I would rather sell Fabio Vieira. He might have some value and I don't rate him at all. So, yeah, we'll have to see on that one. Brandon said, big up, Big C. My wife and I just had a baby boy. Can I get a shout out for my son and wife? Big up, big up. More life, more life. Big up yourself, bro. Big up, Brandon. And congrats to you and the wife and baby boy. Hopefully another gunner born into the world. Get the Arsenal kits ready. Wasim says he's having problems with his membership. It's paused. I'll check that, bro. I'll try and let you know. I've got no idea why that would do that. Saliba says big up. And Feb, March, April, May. Gone till November. Wycliffe Jean settings. Listen, people. Big up yourself. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I will be doing some watch-alongs for non-Arsenal games. I realised I haven't been doing many of the watch-alongs for the neutral game, so I will get into that. You know, December, there's so much football. We'll definitely start hitting that up on this channel. Thank you very much to everyone tuning in. Hit the like button. I'll be back tomorrow, 7:15. It's at 8:15 kickoff UK time tomorrow because the game's on Amazon Prime. And they moved their kickoff times forward a little bit. So it's a later finish tomorrow. So we'll be live at 7:15, 8:15 kickoff. Tune in tomorrow. Thank you very much for your support on the channel as always. Like the video and subscribe. And I'll see you all tomorrow for the watch along. Bless.